Hey guys, Lizardlea here for Believe Day 2. So there is Day 1. Hopefully I'll finish today, but unless it says done in the title, I did not. Tee.
Alright, we're talking about Jujutsu Kaisen! And that was a show that David has wanted me to watch for well over a year at this point. But he told me, like, what happened for the first half of the season. And it took me a year to forget so that I could actually enjoy it when we watched it. And dude, I freaking loved it.
Yeah.
So good. 10 out of 10. We'll watch again. We'll watch the sequels. We'll watch more. Alright. Explain Jujutsu Kaisen.
Okay, what if sorcerers, but also I ate a finger? So...
I mean...
Not wrong.
Yeah, for the main
short
character.
version is it's a shonen anime, but it has a lot of fun with what it is, and it's doing things either very, very well or differently. The rough idea is that there's a main character who is obscenely powerful for a human, which no one seems to really comment on, other than like, that's weird that you can like overhand throw a shot put across a football field. Neat. Or jump 4 stories into the air. But none of that matters because he's not a hero or anything. He's just his father. His grandfather is passing away. His parents are out of the picture. And his grandfather says, hey, you need to make sure you make lots of friends in life. Don't be a miserable old sod like me left alone in his deathbed. And he's like, well, okay, Grandpa. And just before that, Grandpa's like, I need to tell you something about your parents. He's like, no one wants to hear about my parents. And then he goes, fine, I'll tell you this. And then Grandpa rolls over and dies.
Yep.
So he's very sad about this. But he, at the same time, has joined a...
Itadori is his name, by the way.
This is all first episode stuff, so I am not spoiling.
Yeah, oh yeah, no.
He has joined an occult club. And they do cool, creepy occult things. And at the same time, a man named Gojo, who wears a blindfold and has hair straight up, you can get to your part later, Liz.
Yeah, I know.
I just want to make sure.
Try.
I just want to make sure.
It's too early.
Who is obviously somebody, has dispatched another kid named...
Megumi Fushiguro.
Yeah, Megumi, because it's a girl's name or a boy's name. Or just a girl's name, I think. Anyways, a kid named Megumi to the school to get a cursed object. So as you will later find out, cursed objects are basically curses, which are sort of like monsters. Let's do the quick curse backstory now, because it's going to explain a lot. What a curse is basically anywhere where there's a lot of bad juju and bad emotions, like, you know, horrible war scenes, hospitals, you know, serial killer sites, things like that, places where people have a lot of bad emotion, even the workplace, can spawn curses. And these are invisible to most humans, but they can actually kill and affect humans. The stronger the curse, the stronger it becomes, and they can become incredibly powerful. There are some curses that are so strong they can't really be destroyed, but they can be broken apart, and then those pieces are so powerful they prevent other curses from coming to the area. So if you want to protect an area, you put a cursed object of a portion of a powerful curse there. The problem is that the curses eventually, or the seals around the curse eventually degrade, and the cursed power, it no longer prevents other curses from coming there, and they seek these cursed objects because they can make them more powerful. More specifically, in this case, the cursed object is the finger of...
Oh gosh, what was that demon's name?
He's got a cool name.
He does. Faculty, students.
Sakuna, I think.
Sakuna sounds right? It's literally...
I'm making Liz look this up because it's more fun that way.
Cursed spirits. Here we go. Nope, I don't think that... You know, I don't know what he looks like in the manga, so this is... Sukuna.
So Ryonen Sukuna. Sukuna was this major curse forever ago. Like 2,000 years, I believe, back when it was the era of Jujutsu sorcerers. Again, we'll get to it. And so he is like the big bad of all big bads. And it took like everyone banding together to stop him. And he had 4 arms and 2 faces. So he's got like 4 eyes and 4 arms. Each arm has a finger on it, so he's got 20 fingers.
20 fingers.
So those 20 fingers have been spread around, and curses try to find those fingers and eat them because it makes them vastly more powerful. And lo and behold, it's a cursed finger that was at this school that the occult club has taken to unwrap tonight. And Megumi finds this out and goes, oh my god, all your friends are going to die, we've got to stop them. And Itadori goes, cool, I'm going to help. And he goes, you can't help, and runs away. And then Itadori jumps 4 stories through a window to help.
It was awesome.
Rough version of events, because the demons are killing the friends. This is probably the only moment of kind of fan service in the entire show, is like right at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, with the girl.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, is it going to be one of these? But again, I can say that
It's
one
not.
of the things that sells me about this anime is there's basically no fan service, no shipping, no romance. It's 100% good plot, good character development, and it's serious about all of its characters. It does what Naruto should have done, where it really expands not just its main cast, but its secondary cast, and has a lot of cool characters. Anyways, back on curses. So, he's trying to get the finger. They can't get the finger. The kid's gonna die. He can't help. The other kid's gonna die. He can't help. And so finally he goes, screw it. I can't attack if I don't have curse. Because he's like, why can you see the curse? That's weird. Because he can see a curse even though he doesn't have any cursed energy.
He's throwing around a lot of pronouns. I'm having a hard time following.
Itadori, the main character, can see the curse, which is weird because he doesn't have a lot of cursed energy. But he can't do anything to it. There's no way to hurt it except with cursed energy. So he asks, hey, what happens if I eat the finger? He's like, you probably die. But you might gain cursed energy. And he goes, okay, and he eats the finger, which is gross.
Oh, yeah.
And lo and behold, rather than him dying, which is the 99% outcome, the 0.1% worst possible outcome is instead Sukuna gets to possess him. So this is 1/20th of Sukuna back in the world, which is terrible because even 1/20th of him is super, super dangerous. And he's like, oh gosh, now I'm going to have to kill him to stop this portion of Sukuna. So what happens from here is somehow Itadori controls Sukuna. No one understands it, but he kills the demon and then controls Sukuna, and Sukuna's like, wait, you can't do this, and then he gets stopped, because apparently he can't. So this puts the Jujutsu sorcerers who fight curses, they're all people with cursed energy, which is basically just something you're born into, there's no training for it. It puts the cursed sorcerers in a rather interesting conundrum. Their option, basically episode 2, is either A, kill Itadori, because he's basically letting Sukuna get back into the world. Horribly, horribly dangerous. If he gets all the fingers, Sukuna will reincarnate, and he's basically unstoppable. And again, another thing this show does really well is when they throw around words about, like, oh, this guy's a major deal, or this person's unstoppable, they deliver. It's none of that DBZ where Frieza's the big bad until, like, 4 years later, and now Cell could, raffle stomp Frieza without trying. It's serious, serious power being thrown around, and they deliver on that. But most of the Jujutsu sorcerers want to kill Itadori because of this. But some of them, namely Gojo, who is incredibly powerful himself, like stupid, ridiculously incredibly powerful, maybe the only person who could fight Sukuna, has a better plan. Because what he wants to do is, rather than kill Itadori now, he wants to feed him all the fingers and then kill Itadori, because it's the only way to exercise a curse as powerful as Sukuna, is get him to reincarnate in a human body so he's mortal, and then kill the human body while he's still holding back the power. And then they could finally exercise the curse. So it's a huge gambit, because at any moment Sukuna could maybe overpower Itadori
and just take control.
And just completely take control, and that's a big problem. But Gojo shows up and is like, huh, you're really controlling Sukuna. Cool, let him go for 10 seconds. I want to fight him. And he dances around him, and then 10 seconds later, the kid takes control and goes, huh, you really can control. Neat.
Well, I thought he didn't remember what happened, so he
kid-
had to ask.
Well, that's kind of at the start of part 2, because then Gojo knocks him out.
Okay.
So we get a quick recap. And basically, they decide, okay, we're going to train you as a Jujutsu sorcerer, you're going to join us, and we're going to do this thing. And that's the intro, that's the first 2 episodes-ish. It is absolutely worth it. It's everything Naruto could have been. It's got really cool fights, really creative use of powers, and it's not just focusing on 1 or 2 characters. It's not just, Naruto and Sasuke, Naruto and Sasuke.
I would put it up there with the early seasons of Naruto.
Yes.
Because the early seasons of Naruto were amazing.
Yeah.
Like, up through, what, the Chunin exam?
It's up through
When he was
Pain.
When
it's
he
right
was
after
good,
Pain.
focusing on everybody. it was spectacular. It was when he just started like, oh yeah, Naruto and Sasuke were the only ones that mattered, that it started to go downhill.
Yeah, and so...
So if you liked Naruto, I highly recommend this one. And I actually recommend it more, especially for women, because the female characters on this show are amazing. Oh, I have to bleep that out, man.
It's you twice in a row!
10 minutes in. I need to write that down. 10 minutes in. I'm so bad.
Liz failure point. Number 2.
2. Okay, but no, they're amazing. Like, that's the thing. As a female,
really?
It's really exciting to me when there's a female character that is amazing and can hold her own and even beat some of the boys.
Oh, so some of the strongest characters of the show are potentially female. Not... Okay, the absolute top tier that we've seen is all male. But there are some... there's a giant gulf in power between the top tier of, like, Sukuna and Gojo and everyone else. But some of the potential prospects to be, like, endgame, Gokus are female, and they live up to it. Like, they are really cool. They have cool moments. They don't get fan service. The shots are actually of them doing cool things, not like, wow, look at her butt.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really, really well done. And it's great to see these characters. It's great to see it go off. Only one season has been out, and a movie, which is a prequel, which talks more about Gojo's team.
Which we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I've read the manga for it. And I guess now's the fun part where we get to Gojo, because Liz has probably been dying for this. So Gojo...
Maki is my favorite character.
I know, but nonetheless, I know what part you want to get to. Of note, Gojo wears a blindfold the entire time, because his eyes are special. He has special eyes. We actually haven't had that explained in the anime. I only know that because, 1, they make it freaking obvious, and 2, John has told me some stuff from the manga. So when he wants to fight for real, he takes off his mask. And Liz...
And so he has white hair. He himself is pretty pale, so he's a white guy. He takes his mask off, and he has, like, these just galaxy light blue eyes. They are mesmerizing. He is the most beautiful, pretty character to exist ever. Like, I don't want you to spoil it if you're going to watch the show, because it's worth it. But if you just Google Gojo eyes, I'm sure you will see how spectacularly beautiful he is.
Yes.
Like, Gojo eyes. I want to see what it shows. Oh my god, he's so pretty. Oh, look at him, he's so pretty. It's not fair. I've never seen a character this pretty before. And it's all in the eyes. When he has the blindfold on, you're just like, oh yeah, he's got white hair. Cool.
Oh, he's a Kakashi-like. Okay.
No, he's better than Kakashi.
He's what Kakashi should have been.
Yeah.
Which, for those of you who haven't lived with both of us for the last few years and been snooping on every single conversation we've had. Yep. And haven't lived with that. What that means is that Kakashi was kind of this cool concept, like, oh, he's the copy ninja. Yeah, he has one secret move that's his, but he fights with everyone else's styles. And cool, we'll get to see him use all their stuff. No, he just uses Chidori, and oh, now he has a Sharingan, and it's mutated, and so he uses, like, gravity manipulation.
Yeah, so like he's stolen thousands of techniques, or at least 1,000, like, and that alone is spectacular. But you just see Chidori over and over again, and also he is specifically a teacher. He is the main character's teacher, and he's not a very good teacher.
Yeah, well, yeah, on top of that. Well, he's a good teacher for, like, the part where he's supposed to be a good teacher.
Well, he's a good teacher for Sasuke, that's it.
Now, to be fair, Gojo's a terrible teacher, but that's because he's kind of a terrible person.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, because they established that...
But they make Kakashi seem like he's going to be amazing because he has failed every single previous team he's ever had.
Yeah.
Like, he has such high standards for his team that you're like, he better be the best teacher ever if he does this.
Yeah.
And then, oh wow, he kind of sucks.
Yeah, and then they split him apart anyways. And we could ramble about Naruto for an entire
But Gojo's so pretty!
Yeah, Gojo, a pretty boy.
So pretty!
So yeah, so Gojo's fun because he's ridiculously overpowered, and they handle it well.
His powers are spectacular. Not going to spoil that.
Yeah,
you have to watch the show for it.
And the animation for all of these fights is beautiful and really well done and very clever. It's not just, pair off and fight each other. There's all sorts of strategy and nonsense going on, which leads me to Maki, who is Liz's favorite character. She has these are a little bit spoilery. So again, if you're even remotely like, oh, I haven't watched a good anime, watch this. Just watch it. It's
worth
great.
it.
Has,
especially if you like shonen anime.
Even if you don't,
fighting,
like if you like action at all, it's got great plot, it's got real character development, and it's got excellent fighting, and it has none of the BS that comes with some of the other animes where like, oh great, they're like treating all the female cast terribly, or it's just straight up focusing on what's good and delivering lots of it. So go for it. It's a little horror-y, it's definitely a little brute. It's dark. There's some kind of gross stuff here and there. It's not hyper violent, but there's some violence.
Yeah, there's blood.
So like, not just blood, but there's a couple of gruesome deaths.
Yeah.
So like, you know, not for everyone, but if you're like even remotely into some of this stuff, highly, highly, highly recommend. So,
it's definitely not the worst.
Off into spoiler season. Maki is a character you'll meet later who is part of the Gojo team. Go Team Gojo. He's their teacher, and his philosophy is like, oh, I'm looking just for the powerful people, because there's these ranks for like cursed spirits and cursed spirit or what are they? Jujutsu sorcerers. So spirits and sorcerers have ranks. A sorcerer of rank 1 should be able to exercise all rank 1 spirits and below. A sorcerer of rank special should be able, and maybe even take on some special grades. A special rank sorcerer should be able to exercise anything. A sorcerer of rank 2 should be able to exercise all cursed 2 spirits and below and cursed spirits of level 1. So when you first hear this, you think like, oh, we're going to start at cursed level 2 and, you know, work our way up. No. All the cast members are basically like close to rank 1, if not rank S members, because Gojo, they're all part of Gojo's team, and Gojo has been focusing people who are already natural talents, like no training involved, possibly rank 1 or rank S, which is interesting because of, at first you're kind of like, well, rank S doesn't seem so special, but John assures me there's some plot reasons for that actually make some sense. And you're finding out that all these people are fighting. But at one point, you see the official rankings of all the characters. And Maki is not rank 1 or rank S. She's like rank 3 or 4. Yeah,
she was 4.
4. And you're like, why is she on this team? How can she hack it? And they even say, yeah, she has no cursed energy. She, like Itadori, especially at the beginning, even worse than Itadori, to even
she can't see curses.
She can't see curses at all unless she wears glasses.
And cursed glasses, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, but then it's basically they just let her see cursed spirits.
Yeah.
And she can't see them, and she has no ability to hurt them unless she uses cursed items. So these are cursed weapons that she wields to damage the spirits. And so it's like Itadori got a sword at the beginning, which turned out was loaned from her, and then got broken.
And he broke it.
Yeah, and then he lied about it. Yep. And she's not gonna. We haven't resolved that plot
No,
yet.
we haven't.
Yeah.
You blamed Gojo,
He
right?
did.
That's
yep.
what I would do too.
That's what I would do too. Yeah, Gojo
You're
has
not
it
gonna
coming.
get mad at the teacher.
It doesn't matter if he didn't break that. He's probably broken something and he has it coming. So he probably lied about the last one. So you're like, why is she on the team? What's the big deal, and how is she hacking it? Well, when the tournament, they have this little tournament arc against another school, which is a whole big deal, finally happens, it turns out her sister is on the other team. And her sister hates
trash about her.
Maki, and they're both part of this super powerful family, but Maki has been basically exiled, or I think she like basically, what is it where you like...
She walked out.
Yeah, she walked out.
She exiled herself.
She exiled herself, emancipated herself from them.
Yeah, which ruined her sister's life.
Yeah, and also has ruined hers because it turns out they've kept her down at rank 4 because she doesn't have any power. But an actual raw skill, she's got this weird bloodline birth gift that makes her incredibly powerful as a fighter. Literal superhuman strength, agility, and she's trained it beautifully. And she just has this amazing fight where she dumpsters this girl who you've met, who's kind of fun and ditzy in a fun way, where she's like very serious, but she also wants Gojo's autograph and she's fangirling about him in her mind. And she's like the quick draw swordswoman. And Maki just completely destroys her in an elegant, beautiful way that not only beats her, but takes her weapon from her. Like, just absolutely dominates her, like, with no break in her stride.
And it leaves her in the river, and she's just like, she got my sword.
Yeah.
What do I do now?
Yeah, I think I lose, right? And then we go over to
her sister.
Her sister. And she's really interesting, too, because, again, all these powers, all these characters are really well done. She wields a revolver, and it's like, oh, she's trying to kill her sister. It's like, no, they've got rubber bullets. Like, oh, she's trying to kill or maim her sister. And so you're like, well, why does she have rubber frickin' bullets? Like, her power is gun? What? You know, because it's as far as you can tell, she's reloading, and it's a 6-shot revolver. So you see her shooting at her sister and, like, moving around and flipping around and doing all this cool stuff, but you're like, what's her power? What's her power? And I'll go to another character after this who I know you love. So,
Panda?
no?
No, I also love Panda, though.
Yeah, we'll get to him.
Sorry, continue.
And so she's flipping around, and you're like, well, what's the deal here? And, of course, Maki is basically keeping toe-to-toe with her.
Yeah, she's not getting hit with these bullets.
And so she counts the 6 shots, and so now she charges her sister, knowing that she's got to reload. And that's when she explains that her power is she can create stuff with cursed energy. The problem is just like real-life energy creation, it takes an incredible amount of energy to create matter. If anyone knows their nuclear physics, congrats.
She can make 1 bullet a day.
Yeah, and so she has purposely baited Maki into running at her so she can make 1 rubber bullet that she didn't account for and
At point blank range.
and shoots her at point blank range. And you're like, wow, she beat Maki. And the answer is no, because Maki is so cool, she catches the bullet with her bare hand and then dumpsters her sister.
It was so good, you guys. I was screaming. I was literally screaming.
First, it's a really cool fight. Then it's a really cool reveal with a really cool checkmate with a totally earned, but this is how cool this character is, that even though all of that was earned, it doesn't matter. She just catches it with her bare hand from like a foot away. And you're like, oh, so that's why Maki's so cool. That's why she's in these good groups, because Maki is not to be messed with.
She was my favorite before that
Yes.
fight. Like, that literally solidified it, where I was like, crap, Maki's gonna die someday.
Yeah, she's a favorite.
John said she's not dead in the manga yet. He did say yet.
He did say yet.
He knows that my favorites die.
Panda,
Who is literally a panda, by the way.
who is also probably / is made by one of the other characters, but in a special way that nobody understands until the very end of the season, which I'm not going to spoil, is a literal panda. He's just a giant walking panda.
He does walk on 2 legs.
Yes.
And he's the tallest one. Isn't
Yes.
he? Yeah.
And he fights. And your entire time you're like, that's a panda. What's his deal? And the answer is watch the show. I'm not spoiling that one.
He has so many cool fights. He was another one I was screaming about.
So the one Liz loves, I don't remember his name off the top
Is
of
it
my
the
head.
robot guy?
No.
No.
Is the best friend of Itadori. They're best buddies, Liz, because they bond over what kind of women they like. Oh!
Oh, he was on the other team. Hold on. I don't think these are in the right order.
I mean, I'm sure. We'll get to, while Liz looks up his name, I will give you the...
Aoi. Toto.
Toto, there's what it was.
Aoi
Yeah.
Toto.
Toto. So Toto is like the big...
He wasn't my favorite, but I do love him.
Yeah, no, he is so fun. He's the big hitter for the other team in this second half. And so he is built like a dump truck of muscle. This man is just a brick wall of, oh my god. And so you're like, okay, I can see why he's the heavy hitter. So he's going to have, like, he's just going to be a brute force monster. And the thing is one, he is hilarious. I'm not even going to go into all of it, but, like, he immediately, I cannot do it proper credit. You need to just watch it for all the, I am trying so hard not to swear here, just nonsense, insanity that he is in the fun that they have with it. He's just so fun. But also you're like, okay, so he's the big bruiser guy. What's his power? And I mean, just through raw strength alone, he is going toe-to-toe with Itadori, who is like inhumanly powerful, and just dumpsters people like in a heartbeat. And he's borderline psychotic. Like, no, I'll just kill you if you're weak. Or no, guys, I want to fight this guy one-on-one, even though it's stupid. Leave me alone. His power, which is a big spoiler, but I'm going to spoil it.
Oh, it was so cool.
You see him briefly use it in the tournament once, and then he does the rest of the tournament arc never using his power until things really escalate. And because he doesn't need to, because he's so, again, so many people where they justify, wow, he's so powerful, and yet Gojo and Sukuna could dumpster him in a heartbeat,
Absolutely.
And they really have justified that. His power, which is so clever and so cool, and reminds me so much of Hunter x Hunter, where they take basic sounding powers and make them sound completely overpowered because of clever use, is he can swap places with people or things that he can see.
By clapping.
Yep.
Or
By clapping.
he has to clap, right?
Or well, maybe
he
does.
Make it look like
yeah, and And that's the whole thing, is it's all about the misdirection of, does he have to clap? Does he have to do it when he claps? Does he have to swap with himself? Can he swap with things he sees? And the psychological games and nonsense he plays, and the fights they choreograph from that, they're up there with the Lemillion fight from My Hunter, where like that is such a cool use of Shadowcat's power that Shadowcat never gets to show off. Here's someone showing that at like a cool, creative, choreographed team of artists has put together a beautiful fight, and Todo is the same. His fight with Itadori versus a character
That
you'll see.
plant thing.
Yeah, well, I was gonna not spoil it, but yes, that plant thing.
Well, I mean, you see the plant thing.
But you don't know they're gonna fight it until way later. Whatever. Point being, that fight.
Isn't there more than one plant thing?
Whatever. That fight is so cool.
Oh my
just
God.
so much
Like-
creative choreograph, so neat, and it's again really good. Like, yes, they're talking during a fight, but it's justified because it's explaining something cool, and really neat tricks, really neat just scenes of like, yep, now that we know how they're getting dumpstered because they don't know how to deal with this, it's going again and again and again and again. It's so good.
And
Just-
each new reveal was just as exciting as the last
And
one.
I'm sure there might be more, because, like, again, this is a guy who sat down. I think he's been inspired by Hunter x Hunter, which is part of why he did all this.
Ooh.
And I loved Hunter x Hunter
Hunter.
the moment I found out about Bungee Gum, which is Hisoka's power, because it's the kind of power in, like, a DC comic where you'd be like, oh, this is a B-tier superhero. It's Stretchy Guy, or Sticky Dude, or Gum Man, or whatever.
Yeah.
And
he's
it's
the
used
joke
by one of
character.
the most powerful characters in the show because he's just that clever with it. He understands that even though my power may not be that strong in a powerhouse sense, with my combined ability to do misdirection and theater and just raw talent and cleverness and guile and trickery, he makes it devastating.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's what I love about Jujutsu Kaisen is, again, this girl, what's her power? I can make about a bullet-sized object a gaze. So what's your weapon? A 6-shot revolver. Why? So when they think they've had 6, I have 7.
And
And,
if
like-
they're not Baki, they're gonna get a headshot.
Yeah. And, like, that's super, super cool. But the only problem is I just haven't sat down and read the manga. I really should. Like, this thing is so good. The manga's been good every time I've read it. The show is incredibly good. It's well-paced. It does cool things. The only problem I had rewatching the show is sitting through the beginning, knowing what comes, is so, like, I don't care. Let's get to the cool stuff. Because, like, it's still cool, but it's not as cool as where they go. That's and it's still, you're not going to hate it first watch. You're not going to be like, oh, I have to, it's still going to be fine. You'll enjoy it. You'll like it. It's only when you have knowledge of what it becomes that you're like, oh, you don't even know. You don't even know. And yeah, I'm so excited for more of this. And, I'm glad to see things like this in My Hero doing
Succeeding.
well. I know My Hero, people have been like, oh, it's not as good. I've still been enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I still really like what they do. And I still really like what they're going.
There's
for.
only one character that I legitimately
Well,
hate
yeah,
on
I
the
never
show.
would.
That's it.
There's like fair parts
Mineta
to
is the
that.
worst. If he were to
It's
die,
so
that show would be perfect.
Easy to turn him into a great character.
Oh yeah,
And instead
and
they
powers
just
and all.
don't. And it's so disappointing.
No.
But yeah, TLDR, Gojo's so pretty.
Gojo is the prettiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Was it John that agreed with me? Or
Oh
you?
yeah, no, John said everyone says that. Like, when I was talking to John about this, he said, yeah, just look up Gojo. And I was like, oh, so it's a Kakashi knockoff. Great. He's like, no, you don't get it, dude. This is delivered right. I'm like, tell me about it. He's like, well, first of all, he's the prettiest thing ever. I'm like, excuse me, what? He's like, no, legitimately, everyone has the same reaction. He's the and John is not the kind of person who drops pretty as an adjective for men very often.
He
so,
is a big black dude.
Yeah, who
he
works-
is the chillest person in the
Yeah.
universe. So hearing him say this character is really pretty is
he's
just like,
gorgeous.
what? Like, what has happened to you, John? It just, like, it comes across as out of character for him. It's really weird.
But it's earned, because I will admit, Gojo pretty.
Gojo is so pretty.
Oh, and I didn't even ramble about it, but I will say Sukuna is a possession done right. I don't want to spoil any of that other than to say this makes the Nine-Tailed Fox look stupid because this is how you do power with consequence. It's so brilliant. It's so well done. He's such a fun character. I think he's my favorite character in the show. I always gravitate towards the villains because they get to be cocky and over the top, and you get to have a lot of really cool, fun scenes. There is one moment that, to my understanding, has still not been delivered on in the manga that is such a cool idea that's related to him, the deal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh man, that's gonna be brutal
And
when it happens.
and no one knows what it is.
Oh,
And that's
God.
what's so cool, is that not only have they justified his power, they've justified his intelligence, they've justified his arrogance. Like, seeing fights end, not because of how powerful characters are, but just because someone accidentally somehow stepped on Sukuna's ego, is just such a cool way to have a person flex how powerful they are. They're like, I literally care nothing about any of you, but you've dared to somehow minutely insult me, and now I will wreck you for that with a flick of my wrist. Just, so good. Watch it.
Yeah, this is one of the ones that I
If you're someone
highly
who's not
recommend.
into anime, but you like action shows or cartoons or whatnot, and you've been trying to get into anime and you've bounced off it, this is one of the ones I would recommend. Because again, you're not dealing with a lot of that weirder anime stuff that can make anime hard to get into. There's no inside jokes. There's not too many inside jokes that are like, well, Japanese specific, I don't get it. There's no awkward shipping nonsense. There's no weird romance nonsense. It's really good plot, really good story, really good action, really good writing. Watch it.
I mean, obviously, I recommend Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood above nothing else. No, above everything else. Sorry, I have a fever, you guys, so if I'm talking crazy, it's not my fault. But, yeah, like, Jujutsu Kaisen is really, really good. Definitely recommend it. I think one of the best ways to dip into anime is to watch the Studio Ghibli movies.
Yeah.
Just because, like,
Well, those
if you like Disney, you're gonna love Studio Ghibli.
Studio Ghibli is anime Pixar,
Yeah.
where it's like anyone will love this. The only thing I'll say is, again, if you're younger and you're looking for something more actiony, they're very much family shows.
Oh, absolutely.
And
yeah.
I will say that unlike Pixar, where like even The Incredibles or like Toy Story, it feels paced and fun and whatever, they're very slice of life at times. They're still fantastical, but they're a little more fairy tale, where sometimes things can feel slow or air quotes childish. And,
a lot of them are based on books.
Oh no, I know. One or two are horribly. Do not watch Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh God, no.
Don't do that to yourself.
Don't.
It's an art piece, but don't do that to yourself.
No.
Anything else? Princess Mononoke is kind of violent too. Be warned.
Very violent.
Everything else is pretty good.
You haven't seen all of them.
Everything else I've seen is very good.
Yes.
And Princess Mononoke is good. It's just not. It's a warning.
Oh, it can be very violent. That
Yeah.
one's got blood too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no. Studio Ghibli is kind of the Pixar of anime, and before Pixar.
Yeah.
And if not that, if I were back in high school and I hadn't grown up getting into anime with my best friend, and you were like, I'd watched like cartoons. I was like, well, anime, that's just Japanese stuff, and it's all
for
weird.
kids.
Or just like, oh, that's for the weirdos, or it's all strange or whatnot, because there's a lot of anime that is, and
Oh,
it
absolutely.
panders to that, and I hate that stuff usually. Watch this. I can't. It's just good.
And Gojo is so pretty.
Gorgeous Gojo!
And that is the end of Believe Day 2. I got 4 hours and 21 minutes of footage. And it is all done. So, 3 out of 4 of them. I don't really have anything else to say, so like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz. I'll see you guys next video.